How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Trail Tales. My name is Kyle O'Grady. I am a thru hiker. I am a backpacker. I am a huge hiking nerd, and every single week on this podcast, I chat with other thru hikers and other hiking nerds about their experiences on the trail. And this week's guest, he's a hiking nerd. Let me tell you, Baker Bokorney, he's back. He's done so many episodes. He's the most common repeat guest, and there's a reason for that. We always have so much fun. It's all goofs. It's all gags in this one. We do the 10 commandments of ultralight backpacking. And there's plenty of side tangents and reminiscing along the way as well. It was a lot of fun. So Baker, when you hear this, thank you so much for coming on for yet another episode. Why did I say that so weird? We're going to roll with it. And those of you that are tuning in, I just want to say thank you. And like, seriously, thank you. And if you appreciate this, if you appreciate the content, you can help out. And you can do that by, well, there's a few different things, but the one I'm going to harp on right now is you can help out by sharing the show with a friend. Someone who's getting into hiking, someone who's already into hiking, someone who you think might get some value out of this show, some entertainment at the very least. Share it with them. Send them a link, and I would really, really appreciate that. So without further ado, let's get into episode number 138, the 10 Commandments of Ultralight Backpacking with Baker Bokorney. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Is this thing on? Baker, is this thing on? Can you hear me?
Hello. Well, I don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything?
If you're not talking, Kyle, then I guess I'll just do this podcast by myself. Rose, just keep it going. I'm just gonna go solo on this one. Yeah, I have a few just kind of like some really spicy topics that I'm just gonna kind of riff on here. I haven't really prepared anything. I haven't thought it out, so I'm just gonna kind of monologue for a couple hours here.
Hello.
That's
testing.
Cool.
Wait. Is it working now?
Okay.
Oh.
He's back. Okay.
Thank God. I'll saved everybody an hour.
I'll save that monologue, guys. I have some really, really interesting thoughts on some topics I think you all would want to hear.
What's one of the topics? Let's hear one.
Let's see. One topic. Have you heard about how invasive bamboo is?
No.
I don't actually know if that's true.
I did see it all over the Appalachian Trail, though, so that actually makes sense.
Apparently once you plant it, you basically can't get rid of it. Like, it's incredibly resilient. Like, it just lives underground, and then it'll just pop up somewhere else. It's kind of like, has this very extensive underground network of roots, I think. I'm going to stop talking about bamboo, because I really don't know much about it, but I was prepared to riff on it for 3 hours, but now that you're here, I think I'll hold off on that.
3 hours. Not only was he prepared to do a solo episode on the whim, but he was prepared to do it for 3 hours, which is
3 hours.
2 hours longer
than
usual. A lot of thoughts on bamboo, apparently.
A lot of thoughts on bamboo.
No, we're not going to be going for 3 hours. We are prepared to go for 1 hour, though. My voice just kind of cracked there, kind of like yours does a lot of the time. The classic Baker crack.
You just got to embrace it, you know? I don't really have control over it. It just kind of happens, so it just is what it is.
You just got to run it through. Okay, so now that we have like 2 minutes of absolute nonsense out of the way, the theme for this episode, we're just getting loose, dude. We're just riffing, and we've barely talked about hiking. I love hiking.
You haven't talked about hiking at all.
What's your favorite hiking?
Oh, I like the walking hiking.
The walking, but that's not hiking. That's walking.
Okay, that's true. Well, that's up for. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a contentious point. But I mean, I suppose the foot-based hiking.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I mean,
more of a foot-based hiker.
We can come back to this.
As opposed to the other variants, yeah.
Yeah. As opposed to the horse-based hiking.
I don't know if that's hiking or not, but I'm just saying
horses
the foot-based one is mine. I'm not saying what the other ones are, but I do know that they have hooves. They don't have feet.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't say hoof-based. Yeah. So
what if we just did an entire episode like this? People would fucking hate us. They'd hate me. They would hate you. You're the guest.
Or it'd be an absolute slam dunk. One of the two.
I bet you there'd be some good. Okay, so everybody, let me know if you prefer an entire episode of me and Baker with. We're gonna get into the actual theme here, but an entire episode of me and Baker with no plan and just complete nonsense like this, like the past few minutes, except for an hour. I don't know. I feel like it's fun, or 3. Oh God. I feel like it's fun for a few minutes, but after like 20 minutes, they'd be like, all right, this is not good. So, with that said, the theme for this episode, I've had this idea for a long time for either a Trail Tales episode or for a video, but we're finally going to do it. The 10 Commandments of Ultralight. And what does that mean exactly? I don't know. I don't think it means nothing, let's be honest. But we each came up with a few commandments. We have not seen each other's commandments yet. And so that's, I don't know. I have a feeling that some of them might be the same, or probably not worded exactly the same, except for the first couple words, but probably some similar stuff, but we don't know. Baker has a few extra ones just in case, because we have to get 10. It's the 10 Commandments, obviously. And yeah, we're just going to run it from there. And then I also heard that Baker didn't even come up with a lot of his, or at least the good ones. Is that true? That's
absolutely true, yeah. I mean, Jessica, basically anything smart or clever I come up with on this show, like she gave me the idea for the most part, so.
Lucky you, dude. I wish I had someone that was way smarter than me that I could just run all these ideas past.
Yeah, who also has like hiked thousands of miles and like gets all this stuff, you know, like there's not many people who you could call up and say, give me the 10 Commandments of UL. They'd be like, what's UL, first of all?
I just thought of a funny idea too. We should ask at the end of this, after we go through our 10, we should ask ChatGPT to give us 10 Commandments of Ultralight, just to see what
I thought about that. I thought about it. I was like, I'm kind of curious, because now I'm like in this mode of like, if I want to know anything about hiking, I just asked ChatGPT, because we did it for like an hour straight. So now it's like, that's how I find out things about hiking. So yeah, I don't know.
I kind of want to know now, to be honest. So okay, I have it pulled up. Tell me the 10 Commandments of Ultralight Backpacking, whatever that means. All right, let's see here. All right, it's giving me a whole spiel about, like, as a language model, I don't have personal beliefs or opinions, but I can provide you blah, blah, blah. Shut up. All right. Oh, wow, these are pretty fucking good.
Oh is it going to steal our thunder?
I feel like, wow. Okay, real quick. Number 1, thou shalt weigh everything. Number 2, thou shalt not carry unnecessary items. Number 3, thou shalt reduce the weight of the big 3. Number 4, thou shalt multi-purpose. Number 5, thou shalt carry only what is needed for the expected conditions. That is in-depth right there, I gotta say. Thou shalt carry only what is needed for the expected conditions.
Yeah.
Thou shalt repackage items to reduce weight and volume. Thou shalt embrace minimalism. Thou shalt embrace new technologies and ideas. Thou shalt always be learning and improving. And number 10, thou shalt respect nature and leave no trace. That was way better than I thought it was going to be based on our last episode.
I mean, yeah, that really was pretty good. Well, now they're on a new model, right? Are you on 3.5?
Oh, are they? I don't know.
Yeah, I got an email. They're on 3.5. It's 0.5 times better than 3.
Damn, I wonder if it finally knows things about Kyle hates hiking now. We'll have to save that.
We may have done this like just a little too early, but you know, or the other episode too early, because now we're kind of giving it a poor representation, but we'll see.
Okay, we are going to do another ChatGPT episode because it was hilarious, but all right, let's finally jump into the theme of this episode.
Were any of those yours?
No. Well,
one of them was mine.
Okay.
Not exactly, but yeah, it basically was. It was the same.
I mean,
dang.
Okay, yeah, why don't we start with the one that you have that's similar or the same then? What would the first? All right, so these are the official ones coming from us. That's right. We're the source of truth.
Official ones.
We are God.
So we're handing them down to our disciples.
Is God the one that actually created the 10 Commandments? Probably. I don't know. I went to a Catholic school for 4 years. I still don't even know this.
So did I. I went my entire
really?
young adult life.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure. Sure. Well, technically, some background since we have to get into it. Pretty sure Moses, he went up to some place. It was like up in the mountains or whatever, and then God gave these to him. He popped back down with these like big old tablets, and he was like, "Yo, here they are." So I'm pretty sure that's kind of how it went.
Yo.
So I guess we're like the Moseses.
I guess you could say that.
We're the Moseses maybe. Okay, so the one that ChatGPT had, which I think is pretty solid, and so it's similar to mine. Thou shalt employ items with multiple uses. That was one of the ones I had.
That is
and
a good
I think
one.
that and I think that's pretty. I mean, that one's like a legit. Some of the ones I have are like kind of poking fun at ultralight, but that's a legitimately good one. I think.
I think that is a good one. And also, these are in no particular order, too, obviously. Are the regular 10 commandments in any particular? I don't think so.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, they are?
Well, they have numbers. They have numbers.
Well, yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah, but anyways, these are in no order of significance, we'll say. Yeah, I think that's a good one. I wonder if it's possible to have like a really lightweight setup while not employing any multi-purpose items.
I don't know. I mean, and yeah, definitely the one, like, there's definitely some really crazy multi-purpose items, like the poncho tarp. That one gets me every time.
Or
like
or that quilt that also doubles as a down jacket. Have you seen that shit?
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah. I mean, like, there's some pretty cool. I mean, my favorite personal one is using my spoon as a poop trowel. That's definitely the one that I.
Oh yeah.
That's the biggest weight savings I have. I mean, it's like 0.3.
I stole that joke from
off.
you in a video one time.
I think I saw that, or I don't know if it did, but you're welcome to. I'm sure I'm not the first one who came up with that. So
yeah, I've seen like some jokes about it online a little bit before.
Or even just like trekking poles as the poles for your shelter. Like that's
I know
pretty. I mean, it's just like I think that's just like super common now. But I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, that is so smart. You know,
who came up with that? That's genius. That guy probably made a lot of money.
Probably not. It was probably someone who just like made their own tarp and was like, I'll just use my trekking pole here.
Yeah, it was
probably. But then someone else is going to be like, well, you could just find a stick. You don't even need trekking poles. But I guess if you're going to carry trekking poles, then that's it. I remember just like the first time I saw it, like you just put it up with your trekking poles, whatever shelter was I was looking at. I was just like, that is so smart.
It is pretty smart. Okay, you ready to hear my first one?
Yeah.
So I have 5, like I said. 2 of them I'm very proud of. 3 of them are just okay. I'll start with one of the okay ones. This is probably the best out of all the okay ones. Oh shit, no. Thou shut up.
Okay.
Thou shalt consider any day under 18 miles a Nero. What do you think? And I thought about amending this one to be like, thou shalt consider any day on the Appalachian Trail under 18 miles a Nero day and 20 miles on the PCT.
Okay.
But I don't know. Because I feel like, dude, if you're like super ultralight and you're doing anything under 18 miles, you better be in town for most of that day. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I haven't done the PCT, but yeah, like I would imagine miles come a little easier. Well, I don't know. You can tell me.
Yeah, generally speaking. Not always.
I mean,
though.
Obviously it depends on the section. Yeah. But, well, I mean, it makes me think of, I know the year that we were on the AT, there was this guy who kept writing like...
Yeah, that's
12 he would, like, I don't know if it's this guy. It was a person hiking ahead of us, and they were basically graffitiing various signs and other, like, rocks and stuff near the trail or parts of shelters. And it would just say, like, 12 miles is a Nero. And I remember, like, Jessica and I being so mad at that because, like, the beginning we only hiked like 12 or 13 miles the first few days, and then by the time we got to like 2/3 of the way through the trail, we saw that again at one point, and we were just like, yeah, it's kind of true, basically. And then eventually, I think it bumped up to like 15 miles as a Nero, and we were like, that's still kind of true, you know, like
sometimes
that's a good like half or 2/3 of a day, you know, like you can still get a lot of time in town on that one.
But what is a Nero? So to me, a Nero is like you spend most of the day in town, not like, you know, a couple hours in town.
Right, that's true. That's just a day where you happen to like squeeze in a bit of time in town. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think a Nero, I don't know. I'm assuming Nero is supposed to be near zero.
Yeah.
And so
it's funny how that gets stretched.
So is 18 miles near zero? I mean, it's all relative. If you hike 40 miles a day, then 18 miles is, you know,
it's still half.
That's less than half. Technically, less than half the way you normally do. But most people aren't doing 40 miles a day. I have a related one, which I'll just say now, and this is like this is a riff off, like a direct off one of the 10 Commandments, which is remember the Nero day, keep it holy. So
was that one of your commandments?
It was one that I just thought of. Yes, when you had your technical break just a second ago.
Okay.
So I was like, I better just mention it now. So I'm glad we both thought of Nero's.
You know, I thought of doing one to like kind of riff off of like the Sabbath one, being like respect the zero or something like that. But then I was like, that doesn't really work because ultralighters are like or the stereotype anyway, would be like, dude, why do you even need to zero? You just keep going. So I was like, I feel like that doesn't work.
I was going to put 0 as well, but I had the exact same thought. So I changed it to Nero.
To Nero, like, yeah. It's kind of funny. Like, I feel like, well, first of all, these terms mean absolutely nothing, obviously, because they're just made up slang. But like, intuitively, you would think like near 0 means like, I always thought of it as like the days where you go into town when you only hike like a couple miles. So it's basically a 0, but technically you did a couple miles. So it's like, you call it a Nero. But I feel like most people use it as in just like any day where you go into town and then you leave the next day, but like you hiked a little bit the day you went into town. I don't know. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing, which is why anything, under, wait a minute.
Yeah, you said under 18.
Yeah, sorry. Anything under 18 miles a day. I feel like, did I word that right? Thou shalt consider any day under 18 miles a Nero day.
Yeah, you're saying any day where you don't hike more than 18 miles
is a Nero. I feel like
is a Nero.
I feel like I don't know. I felt like I was more I don't know. Anyways, that's a commandment. Don't forget it, everybody.
Do you know how many 0 days you took like on the AT and the PCT?
If you
keep track of that.
I don't remember. Probably like 12 or 13 on the AT. On the PCT, I'm not entirely sure. And there was a lot of Nero, whatever a Nero is on both of those those trails too. What about you?
Yeah, we had on the AT. We had a lot. I mean, like we kind of like got off trail for a bit to go to my brother's wedding, and which coincided with when my ankle was like initially hurting. So there was like 10 days there. So I mean, I don't know if those kind of 0 days because we weren't like really. We were like truly off trail and away from the trail. But I mean, we probably had like almost 3 weeks. I mean, even by the end, we probably had, maybe, I don't know, probably like 3 weeks of 0 days. I know that our mutual friend Joe, he's like kind of meticulous about keeping track of all this stuff. Like, he has like a spreadsheet of like everything he did every single day. I think he took like 5 0 days or something like that.
On the AT?
Yeah, on the AT.
Oof. That's rough.
So I remember it was like, there's no way, like that's too few. And he's like, no, I literally counted them all. I have them here in my spreadsheet. I was like, okay, I figured he was just like kind of like underestimating, but no, he had the data to prove it. So
that's rough.
Yeah, he hiked it really fast though. I feel like he did it like in 4 months flat or something like that.
Yeah. Damn.
So he was kind of hustling.
I've never taken consecutive zeros on any trail before.
Oh, really?
I've done like when I went to trail days on the PCT, for instance, we hiked like, 7 miles the day that we went, and then we took the next day off, and then the day we went back, we only hiked like 5 miles. So like almost time wise, it was probably over the course of those 3 days, it was probably equivalent to 2 days off. But like technically, I've never taken 2 just like full days off before, which is interesting. But anyways, okay, so what's your
well, no, hold on. What about in Gorham? Or not Gorham. What's the last town where you're going northbound for the 100 Mile Wilderness?
Monson.
Didn't we took 2 days, didn't we? We stayed 2 days.
I think we stayed 2 nights.
We hiked in.
We hiked in. It was the same thing. I think we probably only hiked in a few miles, and then we took the entirety of the next day off, and then we hiked out, and we smashed that shit. We smashed it
because we were gonna leave, and then we saw the weather was trash. We were like, we'll just stay another day.
Yeah, I remember the big debate. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like for my little crew, which you guys were included in, obviously. No.
Yeah.
The big debate for us was like, okay, if we could take this day off to wait out what's going to be the worst weather probably left on the entire hike for us. But that would mean that our summit date would be October 1st instead of the last day of September. And so we were debating, we were like, it'd be kind of cool to finish the last day of September, but do we? And then when I say debated, I mean, it was a topic of conversation very briefly because I don't think it took much convincing for us to be like, all right, no, that's not worth hiking in the rain all day in cold Maine, fall weather. So, it's kind of interesting.
No, actually, for us, it probably would have been, I don't know that we talked about it, but it would have been in favor of October 1st. Because when we started, that was our predicted end date. So we literally finished on our end date. Actually, we also said we're going to get to Mount Moosilauke by September 1st, like the beginning of the whites by September 1st. And then we're going to summit October 1st. And we literally hit both of those days, which is like completely crazy because we had so many weird, as every hike, you have these unexpected things along the way. But somehow just the fact that we had like these goals, I guess we somehow made them happen. It was kind of weird how like that worked that way. But I mean, really October 1st was just like, we don't want to be dealing with Maine weather, like shoulder season weather.
No.
That was like the main reason we had that. It's not that we were like, October 1st is some great date. It was just more like, we know that like after October, just the weather gets dicey and you don't know when the park's going to close and all that. So
yeah, no, it makes sense.
The weather was amazing on October 1st. So I'm glad we picked that day. That was such a good summit day.
We got lucky.
Like perfect.
We got lucky.
Yeah, we really did.
While we're on the topic of reminiscing about the end of the AT, isn't it kind of funny? We might have talked about this previously or maybe just amongst ourselves, but isn't it kind of funny? I feel like when I think back to my AT through hike, I feel like you and Jessica were a big part of it, but like we didn't even meet each other until almost the last state on the whole trail. And so we were really only hiking together for like a couple weeks. But I don't know.
I feel like 3 weeks about is probably something like that.
But when I think back on it, I think of you guys as like, two of the closest people that I had on my third hike, but it was really only for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if it's like a recency bias thing. Like, in other words, maybe it was at the end of the trail, but also for us, you guys were really the only group of people that we saw for multiple weeks on trail, because everyone else in the beginning of the hike, I mean, we basically were passing. I'm not trying to like brag or whatever, but
it was the same
we were
for us
hustling.
too, yeah,
because both of us started late, so we were hustling. And like, again, we had these like arbitrary dates of like, we're going to get to this point by this place. And so we would like literally sit down and like crunch how many miles a day we'd had to do.
By we, do you mean
0 days.
Mostly Jessica? That sounds like something she would do.
It was both of us. It was both of us. Like, I literally had a spreadsheet on my phone that was like, this mile marker, we're here now, this many 0 days, this many like Nero days where we expected 12 or whatever many miles to go into town, whatever. And we would crunch the numbers. I had this like kind of fairly complex like spreadsheet going on my phone to like calculate all this stuff and be like, okay, that means we have to average this many a day to get to Mount Moosilauke by this day, whatever it was. And so, so I think part of it, we really I can't think of, there was like maybe one other person who we hiked, I think it was just like 4 or 5 days. And then he ended up just like, I think we hiked past him one day, and then he just never caught up after that. And I don't think there really was anyone else. Actually, it was kind of cool. He flipped and we actually ran into him randomly going southbound, which is I'm sure you probably had that experience too, like starting
I've had
late.
that with a couple people.
Yeah, you'd pass people and then they would flip, but you'd see him going sober, which was kind of fun. But no, I mean, I think part of it is like, really, there were very few other people. The only other person I could think that was really close was a guy named One Foot. He was hiking around us like through
I remember
Maine
him.
and all that.
I remember him.
Yeah. And the same thing, like the only person we saw for more than 4 days in a row, or even just 4 days total, And then
That's
also
crazy.
I think we've also stayed in touch post that. So I feel like that kind of keeps that, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't stayed in touch
true.
with Flossie very much though, but he's still a very large part of it. And same with Indy. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But then who was the fourth person? Who's another person in your crew? Classic. Yes.
Yeah. I have not talked to him since the day I summited Catan.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think he's on like any social media or anything.
Okay. Yeah.
But
I know what you mean. It is kind of weird that we had just a brief period of time, but then it to me it's like it's definitely a large part of like the people I met on the trail. It's like you guys for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, what's commandment number 3? What shalt or shalt not thou do or don't do?
Okay. Thou shalt have no shoes other than thy trail runners.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't put that on my list, but that's a good one. Because that really is like a fundamental like ultralight thing. Like there's no way anyone out there has a base weight with less than 10 pounds and they're still hiking in like big boots.
I mean, and also just know that also like that's an interesting interpretation you had of it. What I was trying to say there is no camp shoes. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, you'll have.
Wait, what was it again? Read it again.
Okay, thou shalt have no shoes other than thy trail runners. So I guess have.
Oh.
Yeah, have is it's a little, I guess, ambiguous. But I'm also saying carrying.
Yeah, I see.
You're not going to carry. You have one pair of shoes. It's the shoes you walk in every day. That's it. There's no No camp shoes. I can't remember if you carried camp shoes or not.
I did on the AT, actually, for most of it. I started without them, and then I ended up picking them up. But I haven't carried them, I think, since that hike.
Yeah.
Don't worry, people. I'm cool. I'm cool.
Jessica always carries camp shoes, and she's always has like a way lower than 10-pound base weight. But yeah, you're right. I guess also that could be I guess your interpretation, I would also agree with it. I would be shocked to see someone with like a super light pack, but also rocking like big heavy boots.
Can you imagine that? So he's carrying like a was it Palante?
Like a Palante pack. It's
with
like the
no
tiny
hip belt.
one.
He's got like the Gossamer Gear 1/8 pad, and like he's cold soaking, and then he just rolls up with like giant like mid calf boots.
Right.
I just rolled my ankle a lot.
Yeah, it's just it helps the ankles. Yeah, no, I don't think that would happen. I think both interpretations are true. They are both commandments that must be followed strictly.
Yeah. Although if I had to say, I would say I like my interpretation better, because I do feel like, kind of like you said with Jessica there, like I do feel like there are quite a few people that have pretty lightweight base weights that still carry camp shoes. I feel like as ultralight God here, as we're playing on this episode, I feel like it's more permissible to carry like a lightweight pair of camp shoes than it is to hike in boots,
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, Jessica literally took a scale to Walmart and went into the flip-flop section.
No. Yes, that is so freaking awesome. I've always wanted to do that with various, like, I've always wanted to go to like so many different stores and bring a scale just to be sure. Uh-huh. Oh man, that's so awesome. Awesome.
She, like, before the hike, I think that was one of the first things I bought when I was starting like the whole like trying to make my pack lighter and everything. Obviously you get lighter pack, you make the spreadsheet, whatever it is, to actually weigh everything. And I was like, I gotta weigh everything. So the first thing I did was like, I ordered one of those kitchen counter scales for small items. And then I ordered like the luggage one to weigh like, bigger items or like the whole pack at once. And so, she literally took that into Walmart, went through like probably literally every single pair of flip-flops, and put them on the scale. And I'm sure people thought she was like super weird, but it's a Walmart.
It is Walmart. That's
do whatever you want in there, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So but I distinctly remember her bringing that in there. I was like,
this awesome.
Is great.
Good for her.
She fully committed.
Good for her. I respect that so much.
She's going to ultralight heaven for sure. She needs no redemption. She's been saved.
Dude,
sure.
maybe when I have her back on, we could do an episode where we do like the craziest things we've done for ultralight, like most ridiculous.
Ooh,
I know we were talking about doing the ChatGPT thing with her, but I didn't really get that many submissions. So maybe who do you think would be better for that episode, you or her?
I think I'll give her some of mine and she can do it, because we've both done some kind of like, not crazy things, but we've both done some things that like, you're just like, why?
Why? Like that, for instance. That's a good one. Okay, we'll do that for sure. But that's a good commandment. That was the third one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go for number 4 here. I'm quite proud of this one, although maybe I shouldn't be talking it up. Commandment number 4: thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's camp chair.
Oh man, that's very similar to one of mine, but that's very good. It's actually kind of the opposite of something I had. So that is
oh, okay.
Yes, that is great. That is great. So
when I first was coming up with these commandments, I was just like starting them with a thou shalt and then just going from there. But then I was like, you know what? Maybe I should actually have one of these like kind of sound like a real commandment. So I looked them up, and it was, what is it? Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife or some shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I was like, okay, well, what?
Oh, and house too. There's a few other ones, but something like that.
It was basically saying you shouldn't like steal, right? Like or be jealous.
Covet means you're just jealous of it.
Yeah. You shouldn't be jealous. Mm-hmm. And so I thought camp chair was perfect for this, because
that's absolutely perfect.
I can just imagine a scenario where some ultralight guy, he's been hiking all day. He's got the 1/8 inch pad to look forward to at the end of the day. He gets to camp, and there's some section hiker that hiked like 5 miles and has been chilling in camp since 2:00 in the afternoon, just sitting there in his camp chair. And I could see that ultralight hiker roll in as the sun's setting, and they start to eat their cold-soaked beans, and they look over and they see this guy sitting in this camp chair. But you can't be jealous of that. You signed up for the ultralight life. You chose it, or maybe it chose you. Either way, you cannot be jealous. You cannot be jealous. I already said that. You cannot covet thy neighbor's camp chair, Baker. You can't do it.
You can't do it. And if that neighbor turns out to be a good Samaritan and offers you to sit in that camp chair, there's absolutely no way you're sitting in it.
I mean, agree 100%.
You will be smote immediately. A lightning bolt will come down from the heavens and just blast you to oblivion, and you'll be sent straight to hell. I mean, there's absolutely no way you can touch that camp chair.
It's just
except for to throw it into the fire because in some sort of evangelical move where you're trying to convert people to UL and show these people the way, right?
Absolutely.
But otherwise, you're not. The only reason to touch it is to destroy it and to lead people on, to bring people into the correct path, show them the lightweight, if you will. Ultra lightweight.
Yes. Oh man, dude, we're killing it. I was pretty proud of this one. In fact, that might be my best one. Actually, I've got one more that's pretty good. But yeah, I was pretty proud of that one, just because, like, of course I wanted to work in a camp chair joke because it's me, but also it just seemed to be like the perfect thing that I could see like an ultralight hiker being jealous of at the end of the day. Maybe a stove or someone else's food, maybe. Yeah,
I was thinking of other things, like a stove would be another one. Because like the aroma, or just the warm food in general, just the aroma. I remember like you guys cooking stuff on the, and I was like smelling it, and I was just eating my like pretzels or whatever it was, and
imagine
I was definitely coveting that warm mac and cheese over there.
That freaking rice side. That's how desperate you get for food sometimes when you're backpacking and through hiking. That the aroma. The fact that you even described backpacking food as having an aroma is funny, but like, imagine being jealous of the aroma of like a $1 pack of dehydrated like rice, like instant rice. Like, dude,
you're just like, oh, is that Spanish rice? Oh,
yes.
I can smell it. You can identify every north side by like its scent.
Yep, that's chicken fried rice. That was one of my favorites on the AT.
Oh, that's definitely broccoli cheddar over there.
Oh, that one's not. I tried that once on the PCT. I hate that flavor. Chicken fried rice was my go-to on the AT.
Chicken fried rice is great.
I could never. Great. I found it like one time on the PCT. Like they barely even make it anymore or something. It's hard to find. Yeah. And believe me, when I saw it, I got it. But chicken fried rice, Frank's Red Hot, and pepperoni in a tortilla. I am ashamed to admit how many times I've eaten that.
Is your body like 5% those foods by composition probably at this point?
Pretty much. Oh god, dude, I hate the food on. Honestly, like when I think about doing another long through hike in the future, the food is like honestly like a drag. I'm just like, I wasn't that worried about it before the AT. In fact, I didn't really think about it much at all. For the PCT, I was like, yeah, that's going to suck, but whatever. Maybe it's because I'm still somewhat fresh off of the PCT, but like, oh, man. God.
I feel the same way. I know that before the AT, it was kind of an appealing thing. For Jessica, it was a majorly appealing thing. Like, she was like so excited by the fact that you can just eat, you have to eat as many calories as you want.
Oh, well, that's different. I'm talking about the actual food like you eat on trail. I love the fact that I can just eat as much as I want. She also meant the trail food, like the junk food. Yeah. So she was excited about that. Now she's absolute. Oh, she was. Yeah. I mean, she really hadn't backpacked. I mean, neither of us had really backpacked much. And so we hadn't been on so many trips that we've eaten this stuff frequently enough or just often enough that makes sense. We were tired of it. But by the end, absolutely. Now, like, to think of another long hike and eating that, like I know that both of us are far less appealing to both of us. So yeah. I got to come up with some better meal ideas, dude. I've been eating the only like new meal ideas I've had in the past like 3 years have been to actually start eating the backpacker meals instead of just ignoring them, which I had done previously for years. And so I think I got to make my own meals. That'd be a good way to spice it up, make it a little bit more exciting. And then I also just feel like food that you made yourself always just tastes a little bit better for some reason.
It does. Yeah, it does. You put the effort into it.
Yeah, but then for some a long of the freeze dried, that'd just be. I know some people do it, but like that'd be a lot of work.
it would be difficult. I mean, yeah, some of the freeze-dried meals are like definitely pretty good, but they're just like, I mean, they're so much more expensive than like a $1 Nor rice side or
and they're
ramen
not like
or whatever.
that much better, you know. They're not
They're
like
not.
they're not like $13 better.
Yeah, they're not like 13 times better or like 6 times better or whatever it is. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's basically like almost restaurant prices, you know, like.
Anyways,
but it's not restaurant quality. That's I
love how we started this point on the camp chair thing, and now we're talking about backpackers.
That's true.
But I mean,
the aroma.
The aroma. That's what we do, folks. Aroma. Okay, what's that was number 4. Yeah. What's number 5?
Okay, this is kind of like yours, but the opposite.
Okay, let's hear it.
Thou shalt covet thy neighbor's dyneema shelter.
What's that? Is that supposed to mean that you? Well, okay, explain it.
Yeah, so if you are rocking like a pretty heavy shelter and you see like this tiny little dyneema tarp, you should be jealous of that thing. I mean, you should covet the shit out of it, and you should probably steal it. We didn't. Now our list does not include thou shalt not steal. Just throwing it out there. I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't do about that. I'm just like pointing that out. I mean, it's not on my list. I doubt it's on your list.
No.
Because stealing is a great way to lighten your base weight. Because if you don't carry the gear yourself, you get someone else to carry it for you. That's great, right? So if you happen upon something out there or someone out there and they have something that you didn't bring because you're trying to, cut ounces, which you should be, and they have it, I mean, you got to do what you got to do out there, right? You're in the wild. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not saying we should do. I'm just saying that we're not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't. But anyway, just throwing that idea out there. That's a great tip to, first of all, cut costs and reduce pack weight is just to
just covet the shit out of all of your fellow hikers.
Covet
gear.
and acquire. The acquisition part is
that should be like that sounds like the name of like a metalcore band. Covet and acquire.
Yeah, all right, I'm starting that one.
Yeah, but no, that's a good one. I just love the irony of like it coming from the thou shalt not covet thing. But it's thou shalt covet. It's
you
like
need to covet it.
Like you're supposed to. Not just that it's permissible, but like you're supposed to. I love that. That's awesome.
And even if it's just a few ounces or a few tenths of an ounce less, you need to covet it. I mean, if they're carrying less than you, you have to covet them.
Yeah,
you can't even really like them.
Yeah, even if you're already like really lightweight, if you see someone who's lighter, thou shalt covet. Obviously. Like,
you covet everything about them.
You covet.
You want their life. You want to just embody them because they're just so much better than you by carrying less weight. I mean, this probably doesn't even just beyond shelters. Like, you should just covet everything about that person. If they're carrying anything less than you, if they're carrying just like their base weight's less,
covet.
Like, you want to be them. Covet them. Covet everything about them.
Covet it all. That's a good one. Okay. And this one's not a good one. So this is probably my worst one. It's just too many words, but... So number 6, thou shalt take an Instagram photo holding up thou's pack with one finger at least once per through hike. Okay, maybe it's not that bad.
I mean, it's obligatory.
I was like, there's got to be something about Instagram in here. And what's the classic ultralight photo? It's the guy standing with the, hip belt list pack held up by a pinky next to the terminus of a trail or whatever. So thou shalt take at least one of those guys, at least one. It could be more, but at least one of those photos per through hike. And I would even go as far as to say if the through hike is longer than 1,000 miles, there should be more, maybe one per 1,000 miles, but it was already pretty wordy, So, yeah, what do you think about that one, Baker?
Now, how many of these photos have you taken yourself, Kyle?
I have not taken any, but that's because...
excuse me?
I'm trying to think. Okay, I've taken photos... I don't know if I have, but I just thought of... I should go on I'm going to do a backpacking trip at some point where I go backpacking with gear not made for backpacking, and
What?
That's on my list of ideas.
Go on.
And I just think that'd be such a great title. Backpacking with gear not meant for backpacking. But maybe to conclude that trip, I'll take a photo of me trying to hold up like a JanSport backpack by one pinky with like a bunch of shit strapped on the on the back of it.
Okay, but a backpack, you could use it. You should be carrying like a bucket or a suitcase or something.
Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe we need. Maybe
although it's not backpacking, is it? It's not backpacking if you're dragging a suitcase, is it? It's no backpack.
I did see a Boy Scout one time with a cart instead of a backpack on the AT.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
Yeah,
the AT's brutal. I would not bring a cart.
It was in Maryland, so it was pretty flat.
Okay, but still, it's not like the trail's like always smooth. Like,
I'm pretty sure these guys were from like Missouri or something, so they had like just no idea of what anything was on
the cart,
the AT. And I was like, it was a kid, and he was pretty pumped on it. He was like showing it off to me and shit. I was like, man, so I don't blame the kid. In fact, I respect it, but I do blame the Boy Scout troop leaders a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if that's what you have, I mean, I don't know, you're not carrying the weight on your back, but it's just so inefficient. I mean, I guess if you're only going for like a short trip or it's, just a few miles, okay, I guess it's fine. But I'm just thinking it's so inefficient. Like getting over difficult terrain with a cart, like
yeah,
you would. There's no way you could go 3 miles per hour with that. I mean, it's just
just trying to hike through like the whites, like pulling a.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way. That's what would happen. Maybe.
Granted, this was not the whites. This was Maryland, probably one of the easiest sections of the whole trail. But like this Boy Scout troop was in total disarray. I mean, I'm pretty sure it ceased to exist after this trip. Like the leaders were like. It was totally spread out. Like these kids were just on their own, basically. Like the leaders themselves were like struggling. Like it was I passed the entire troop over the course of like an hour, and they were all just in various states of like disarray. It was pretty funny. Except for the cart kid he was towards the front, I'm pretty sure, believe it or not. Like
okay.
Yeah, it was something.
Well, if they're carrying insanely heavy gear, then a cart, if you're going to have to carry that much weight, then maybe a cart is the way to go.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe,
on easy terrain.
Yeah, watch him be like, he fared the best out of everybody on that trip, probably.
He was on a through hike. You didn't know. He the next year he went back and through hike the whole thing with the cart, and we're just giving him shit. And he did it in 3 months or whatever. The cart.
The FKCT, fastest known cart time. Imagine like you're going up, you're going through like Mahoosuc Notch with a cart. You're like hoisting it up above your head, like throwing it over like the rocks and shit.
Now, if you were hiking with someone else and both the gear was in the cart and you had someone else to like help you with these obstacles, and you could trade off, there's some I don't know, there's some merit to this. What you should do, you should get a cart. You should try this for a video.
I feel like it must violate some sort of leave no trace rules, right? Like the wheels.
Well, I mean, like if a bicycle's allowed on there.
But bicycles, yeah. But bicycles aren't allowed on some trails, so I'd have to.
They aren't. But if you picked one that was like bike or horse friendly, like a cart can't be. Yeah, like a cart can't be more impactful than a horse.
That's true. Right? There's probably some like
poop everywhere.
There's probably some like super crunchy like person out there who like studied this for their like PhD in environmental science or some shit. Like actually 2 wheels it depends on the tread of your tire and all this bullshit. Okay, anyways,
did you ever see, I'm just thinking of more funny things, did you ever see the so like I remember like when we got to the Northeast, a lot of the like colleges up there, they would do like a trip before the semester started, like at the end of the summer before the fall semester started, and it was like an outdoor trip. Did you ever encounter any of these groups? Okay. Did you ever, one of them, I don't remember which school it was, but their sleeping arrangement was a giant tarp on the ground and then a giant tarp over that. That was it. And it just like everyone was just piled in on
maybe they were onto something, dude.
It was efficient. There was absolutely no bug protection. Yeah, until it rained, like, and any sort of sideways. I mean, the tarp was like, up like 6-7 feet. So any sort of sideways rain or any sort would just, or bugs, whatever, it's all just coming in there. I mean, yeah. And we saw someone washing a dish in a stream, like in a water source, and Jessica like called them out on it.
Oh,
and you could tell they just. I mean, she was polite about it, but you could tell they were very embarrassed. She was like, She's just like, hey, you shouldn't be washing dishes in here. This is where we get our water from. We need to drink out of this. Like, you should, take the water and then go 200 feet away and wash it. Wash your dish over there and dump the water away from the stream. And he was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's pretty understandable. Like,
yeah, and she was polite about it, but you could tell he was kind of mortified, and he was like basically essentially a high school kid, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It was pretty funny. But I was thinking, like, where are the trip leaders that are, I don't know. I was like, maybe the trip leaders don't know it either, but it was just kind of like,
yeah,
I don't know,
dude. When my freshman year, I went on one of those trips for Clarkson.
Okay, yeah.
And
that's true. You went to a school in the Northeast, so you probably know about this.
So you've probably heard of like the 46 Climbs thing that I'm involved with. So the co-founder of that, Colby, was the leader. And yeah, there was some shit that went wrong on that trip.
I remember you talking about that. I remember you talking about that on the episode with him. That's how you met him, which that's really cool.
Yeah, but it was the classic like college like outing club, like beginning orientation, whatever trip where shit went wrong. So I would advise, I'm sure there's not that many incoming freshmen listening to this, but if you are, you should still totally go on these trips, but just be self-sufficient. Like, don't rely on the group for any of your gear. Like, when I went on that trip, like, I was like, one of the first things I learned was that they weren't planning on bringing any tents, and it was just purely, oh yeah, we'll just get a lean-to, no problem. It's not like the high peaks in the fall are populated.
Right,
like,
full, yeah.
Exactly. So like, I heard that, I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. So I brought my hammock. So everyone else ended up sleeping on the ground, but I was fine.
You were good. Yeah, you probably could have led that trip, like, given how much experience you had by the time. I know,
and I'm not just trying to shit on Colby. He definitely learned his lessons, and he's gone on to do some really cool things. But like,
obviously,
that was pretty funny. That was our introduction. Okay,
but I have, before we move on, I have taken one of these photos.
You have?
You said I took one at the most photographed place on the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, interesting.
Which you must know where that is, right?
Yeah, it's McAfee freaking Knob, dude.
Exactly, dude. I got a sunset, or I think it was a sunrise. We stayed there for sunset and sunrise to get like every possible kind of photo. And I literally have a photo. It's just me silhouetted with like the sunrise in the background, and I'm like holding out my pack with one. And I felt I just thought it was so freaking cool when I took that photo.
That
now
is
I'm
pretty
like,
cool.
God, I'm such a dweeb.
Maybe maybe you'll have to send it to me, and I can use that as the pack, as the album cover of the episode artwork. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, what are we on? That was number 6, number 5.
I think so.
Number 6.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see.
We're gonna have 10. The UL 10-ish commandments.
Yeah, 10-ish. I've done 3 of mine so far.
Mine are out of order. I've done
3.
I think I've only done 3 as well, so 6.
Okay, so number 7 now.
Okay.
What's number 7, Baker?
7. Thou shalt worship miles instead of smiles.
Oh, that is so good. Was that one of Little Bear's, or was that one of yours?
I think that one was mine.
That's good, dude. That's funny.
I think that one was mine. I mean, it just embodies. She has another one I think actually maybe embodies all of UL very succinctly, but this is close. This is a close second, I think.
That is so fucking funny, dude. Like, you got the worship thing in there. And of course, the miles are much more important than the smiles in ultralight.
It's all about the miles. You're not there to smile.
It's not just all about the miles, but it is particularly not about the smiles. I just want to emphasize
it's certainly
that
not about smiles. Yeah. Certainly not.
A lot of people focus on the miles, like, oh, it's all about the miles, and that's why it's not about the smiles. But no, I want to just be very clear. It is not about the smiles, and that is why it's all about the miles.
Yes,
they're independents. They're related, but they're also independents. So that's a really good one, Baker. I feel like it's going to be hard to add anything on to. Is there any other explanation to that people need to hear?
It's facetious, but also true, which is why I like it. It's like, it's like, the way it's stated is like, it's tongue in cheek because like, I don't know if everyone actually 100% believes that, but it is true. Like you just said, like they're independent, but I mean, most people who are, I don't know, there's probably some people who just have a lighter weight because it's just more comfortable. and they have more fun with it. But I think a lot of people are doing it because they just want to push themselves and they don't want to be slowed down by like a bunch. I mean, I know for me personally, like I like doing bigger days, I like doing things that are more challenging, and generally having the lighter pack makes them easy. It's like funny. The challenge isn't going to be from me carrying a bunch of weight, right? It's going to be like covering more terrain in a day, or more like difficult terrain that would be very challenging to carry extra. It would be kind of less fun for me to carry extra weight doing it. And so I think for a lot of people, like you carry less weight because you have goals that maybe you want to push yourself more than just like having a fun time.
Right.
And the times that I want to have a more chill and relaxed like experience backpacking, I bring more stuff. Like my inevitably, if it's going to be shorter miles, or if I just know we're not, basically if it's shorter miles is like the main reason. We're just not going as far. Like say I'm going, like I'm going to throw my parents under the bus, but I've had backpacking trips where I go with my parents and we're just not we're not doing 20 miles a day.
Your parents
which is fine.
Your parents aren't ripping 20s, dude?
Dude, they're only ripping like 15s. They're pretty weak.
They're ripping Neros every day then.
They're just every day's a Nero for them. But they I know that, so I mean, in their defense, the first set of gear I got was kind of heavier, and I basically gave them all of the gear that was too heavy in the second round, when I was like, oh no, this tent not going to cut it. This 65-liter Osprey backpack not going to cut it. Now my parents have all that stuff. So to be fair, they are rocking the gear that didn't make my cut. So that's probably partly why they're not doing the big days. But basically, yeah, anytime this past summer I had a few times where I did like a 14er, and there was an approach that was like maybe 5 or 6 miles, but it was the kind of thing where it was easier to hike in the night before, camp like near the base of it, so you can get up really early and hit the peak before afternoon thunderstorms and so forth. But for those, my pack was way heavier than it usually would ever be, because like I even actually broke my one of my UL rules. I brought 2 pairs of shoes because I brought my trail runners for the approach, and then I have what are called approach shoes, which are like a hybrid between like rock climbing and hiking shoes, and they're better for like when you're doing like kind of spicier like 3rd or 4th class type of stuff where you have smaller footholds. It's very specific to like the kind of terrain that I was on. But basically I even carried 2 pairs of shoes, and so or I'll even bust out like my pack that has a frame in it instead of my frameless pack. So I know for me, if I'm like not trying to push myself as part of the backpacking thing, then the weight that I carry just inevitably goes up, because I'm like, I'm just more willing to carry something for 5 miles over like 20 miles 3 days in a row or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. No, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
So it is a jab at people who are just out there to crush miles, but it's also like, for me, it's actually personally, it's kind of true. If I'm like looking to push myself as part of the trip, then I'm probably I'm gonna lean much more towards the UL part of it.
Mm-hmm. I have this thought. It's kind of related to this, but not really. So I've been like making plans to get back to the PCT this year to finish it up, and I'm thinking about it, and I was like, this feels like it's gonna be around 400-ish miles, I think, and it feels to me like it's the most extensive hike that I've done without like a big time crunch. Because like the AT, there was a time crunch. The PCT, there was time crunch. A lot of my other trails I've done, there's always been like some sort of time crunch, even like the shorter ones. But this time it feels like there's not a time crunch. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, that feels good, because then I don't have to go as fast. But then when I think about how I want to do it, I'm like, oh, I still want to hike pretty big days. And so I'm like, I think when I think of doing this hike and going a little bit slower, what I think I mean is just spending more time in town. I feel like I'm still going to like do pretty big days when I'm on trail, because like that's what I want to do and that's what I like to do.
That's what you do.
And then I'm just going to like take more zeros, I guess. I don't know. Like it's interesting.
I can see that. I mean, if you're in a town that's fun, I mean, I there's the whole thing of a town's being a vortex. It's totally true. And so, you can just kind of like not have to fight the vortex as hard. And also, if you're out there for a shorter period of time, you can spend more like in each town stop, because you don't need to stretch your budget for as long of a period of time. And so you can be like, yeah, I'll just stay at this cool hostel. I guess if there's other, people there that you're interested in hanging out with, or you want to like go to the local brewery like multiple times while you're there, like it's, you can totally do that. So
yeah, that'll be nice.
I can imagine. I can't see you hiking much slower or less miles. Like I don't see you being like, yeah, today's going to be a 10 miler and I'm going to spend like 3 hours by this like creek.
No, I can't do that.
I don't see that happening.
I can't do that. All right. So my next one, is this number 8? Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not use a full-size toothbrush under any circumstance.
Yes. I mean, that is definitely
pretty obvious. Did you have one about a toothbrush?
No, I had nothing about toothbrushes.
I thought if any of these were going to be repeats between us, I thought it was going to be something about a toothbrush, because that's like the classic symbol of ultralight is the toothbrush cut in half, right?
Yeah. Well, and also, what is it? Is it Ultralight Jerk who made that sticker?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really embodied. I mean, yeah, he's literally like made an icon out of it. So yeah, it is. It's like, now, have you ever cut a toothbrush in half? Have you ever actually done that?
Oh, dude, have I done that in the past month? What do you mean? I follow the 10 Commandments, Baker. So yeah.
Do you follow them even at home too?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not on trail at home.
Okay, well, shade, gray area, but okay.
I mean, but yeah, I don't think I've ever backpacked with a full-size toothbrush. In fact, when I was doing the Kala trail a few weeks ago, it was only, a couple nights, and I hadn't brought a toothbrush with me. And so it's kind of a last-minute thing. I was like, oh, crap, I don't have a toothbrush. And my girlfriend was like, oh, here, I've got one. And she had like an extra one and gave it to me. And I just was like, this just feels wrong. And like it was like the night before we started, we were like camping out at a regular campground, and I was like, this just feels wrong to take this, and so I snapped it in half, like I had to. It wasn't even for the joke or for the video or anything. I just it wasn't even for that. It was just I just felt obligated to. I don't know.
He's like, I have to. Yeah, I feel like, so I actually don't know if I think I had one toothbrush that I shorten the handle, but to be honest, I actually used like those travel toothbrushes, the ones that
I feel like that counts.
They're already shortened.
Yeah, because
they're already shortened. Now, I remember before like the Florida Trail and the AT, I was like, explaining to my family how I was like, they're asking like, what gear are you bringing? And I was explaining like what I wasn't bringing and was bringing, all this stuff, and they were like, interested. And then at some point, somehow the toothbrush came up, and I think I showed them the toothbrush that was cut off. And then maybe like a month into the hike, like my brother and my parents and Jessica all came, and they did like it was like 2 or 3 days together. We did a section of the Florida Trail, and the whole time like they're kind of like making fun of like, oh, did you because some of the things that you do are so minuscule. It's just like, really, like, why did you do that? And so they were making fun of something, and I don't know what, but one night I was brushing my teeth, and as I was brushing my teeth, the some toothpaste started to like run out of my mouth. It went down onto the handle, or like the little bit of the handle that was left, and it slipped out of my hands, fell on the ground, and just like the bristles and the brush part just all in the dirt, all in pine, and like the whole, everyone's like standing there around like brushing their teeth, and they just saw me do that. And they were just like, oh yeah, glad you saved all that weight. And I just kind of like, I picked it up and I just kind of like shook it a bit, and I just like poured a little water on it. And I was like, I have to keep going. I have to keep my, I don't know, retain my pride here. And I just like kept brushing my teeth after I got the dirt. I was just like, I was just kind of like, yeah, this is like, I don't know if that was worth cutting the handle off that one.
No regrets.
No regrets. No, exactly. No regrets at all. I mean, I'm so glad. I will tell you, I noticed the difference when I was carrying my bag. I definitely noticed the 0.5 ounces that I saved, or 0.3 ounces, or whatever it was. Dude, it was worth dropping in the dirt a few times.
100%. Can you hear my neighbor's house being bulldozed right now outside my window?
Are they actually bulldozing?
No, but I can't tell. Based on the sound, I think they are. But yeah, it's loud as shit. Sorry about that.
I don't hear it, no.
Okay, good.
Oh, I guess I hear like a mild hum in the background, but it could be anything. It's not like I hear like crashing or like I can't hear you. No. Okay, now I hear that.
That's my neighbor's truck, I think. Anyways.
Okay, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. Okay. Number 9. What's number 9, Baker?
Yeah, you should go first because I feel like Jessica's last one. This is the last one I have is from Jessica, and I feel like when I asked her it, she immediately said it, and I was like, this kind of just sums up everything. Okay. But maybe not. I hope I'm not.
No, we can do that.
Making it sound too big. But you go first.
I'll do number 9. This one, I'm quite proud of this one.
Okay.
Number 9. Thou shalt not bear false witness about their base weight.
Ooh. I was looking at that commandment, and I was like, how can I incorporate down? But I couldn't think of that's very good.
Yeah, this is another one that like I didn't come up with until I was actually looking at the real 10 commandments, and then I was like,
right.
I had to Google what that even meant, to be honest. I was like, bear false witness. So I hope I used it correctly, but it's lying essentially, is my understanding.
Yeah, I think it's lying, misrepresenting something.
Thou shalt not, misrepresent, lie about their base weight. But I also thought that maybe this one could go the other way too. It could be like, it's okay.
That's what I was thinking.
To misrepresent your base weight because we all want a lighter base weight. I don't know. Because I feel like that's also probably pretty common for people too.
Oh yeah, people are like, oh, how much is your pack weigh? Like, oh, like 6.5. You're like, you don't really know, but you just kind of like, you just like round down like by a pound or two.
You count everything as worn weight. You count the backpack itself as worn weight, like because technically
that's the first thing I thought of when you were saying like lying about your base weight is the whole like worn weight debate of like, phones that are worn, I'm carrying in my pocket.
Oh,
You've ever heard of that? Like that's a thing where it's like,
I've never heard the phone one. I feel like,
because the phone is like, it's in a pocket and pockets are if it's in your shorts pocket, you're wearing your shorts. So it's like, oh, it doesn't really count. I don't know.
Well, that's what, I mean, you might as well just count everything as worn weight things. It's all in your backpack, right?
I mean, yeah, I think it's a jab at people. Like, I feel like I remember it being a kind of a perennial joke on like the UL ultralight subreddit. And it was basically, I'm sure at some point someone put out a lighter pack and they marked phone as worn weight because phones are actually pretty heavy. And so then you would just see people everywhere like making, exactly. And so like, I don't know what the source that is, but it was just like something that people constantly referenced, like, like when they're making jokes or making fun of people, the things just like, oh yeah, make sure you mark your phone as worn weight and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, someone must have done that, for real at some point, and it just like everyone just tore them a new one.
That would be a funny video idea. Make a lighter pack that's just ridiculous, but like somewhat believable still, and then post it on our ultralight and ask for a shakedown and just see what comments. Dude, that's a good idea. Fuck, I shouldn't have said that. Someone's gonna steal it now. Yeah, I might have to add that to my video idea list.
You can cut it out.
No, we'll keep it in there. We'll keep it in there.
I mean, someone has to hear it and then also have like the drive and the motivation and the skills and knowledge to make it. So I don't know. You might be safe.
That would be funny. I just let the salty Redditors write my content for me. That'd be good. Okay, what's the last one here? What's number 10? The alleged,
I don't know. I hope so. I mean, when I asked Jessica, I was like, I just told her the idea, and she just immediately said this, and I was like, okay, this.
Okay, it just came right out of her mouth, like she just.
Yeah, no, she immediately was just like, okay, so
she was like, I've been waiting for this.
It seemed like it. She just had it. She's like, when I asked her, she's like, oh, clearly it's thou shalt forego comfort.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Like it sounds so masochistic, but it basically does. I mean, there's multiple ways, like there's multiple general strategies for UL stuff, but foregoing comfort is basically like that. It's the root of like most things. I feel like, well, in some ways it's more comfortable to be UL, but it's detracting from it. Really, I guess it's probably foregoing comfort when you're not hiking. Like every time you're not hiking, any non-hiking related activity, you should attempt to be less comfortable doing that. And it's probably going to make hiking more comfortable if you're just foregoing things, right? So I feel like it is basically like I don't know. I think it's true. Like there's certain things that I'm just like, this is not as comfortable as like the heavier version of it that I had when I'm not carrying it, of course. So when I'm carrying it, it is definitely more comfortable to not be carrying all that weight. But I don't know. It seems to just embody like a large part of the philosophy of how you make your pack lighter is you just like, just kind of suck it up, you just deal with it.
No, I see what you were saying now, as in like this should be number 10. I agree. It really does just kind of sum it up well. So it's good.
Yeah, it just encompasses, just like, and if you take that to its extreme, that's kind of what if you look at what you're doing, I feel like at some point you're also forgoing safety. Like if you say, oh, I'm not going to carry a sleeping bag, or I'm not going to carry these extra layers, or I'm not going to carry a shelter that actually like covers me from all types of weather and stuff. At some point you're forgoing, it goes from comfort to safety, you know, like, oh, I'm going to be too cold to like, I'm going to be a little chilly, or I'll be hypothermic, but
pretty much.
So maybe safety, maybe forgo safety entirely if you really want to take it to its extreme.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. The 10 Commandments of Ultralight, as told by the two Ultralight gods, self-declared, of course.
Self-declared, yeah.
That was fun. So yeah, we'll have to get Little Bear on for an episode soon where we go through like the most ridiculous things that we've done for Ultralight. That's a good idea for an episode. And of course, on that note, if anyone out there has some of your submissions for like the most ridiculous things that you've done to go ultralight or you've heard of people doing, you gotta tell me. And we'll include them in the episode. So send me an email, trailtalespod@gmail.com. You can also message me on Instagram @KyleHitchhiking. Either one. Get a hold of me. Tell me the most ridiculous shit that you've done in order to save weight. And I think that'll be a fun episode idea. I'm surprised I haven't thought about that already.
Well, you thought of it eventually, so
yeah. Literally, you're hearing this idea come together as this episode is being recorded. So pretty cool, wow. Baker. Thank you for doing this.
Wait, before we go, can I tell a funny story?
Yeah,
it's related to Trail Tales.
I would love a funny. What is it?
Okay. Well, okay. So Jessica's mom is visiting. She just arrived today, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to go record a podcast. So maybe just don't come into this room for the next hour. Or if you do, just try to be quiet. I didn't want background noise and stuff." And she's like, "Oh, is that hiking podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, Happy Trails or something? Has it always called
Happy Trails?"
And I was like, Jessica, I was just busting up laughing because she's heard all the episodes that like Jessica's on and stuff, right? And then she was like, "Yeah, that was the one where," and she brought up again and how the guest kept talking over you.
Oh no, really?
Jessica were just both laughing. We're like, "You're like, yeah, it's," and she's like, "Mom, it's like, it's his podcast. Like, of course he's going to be talking in part of it, and it's going to be a back and forth conversation." And she's like, but Jessica, you just had so much interesting things to say. And I guess, which is implying that you didn't, Kyle. I don't know. So
she has a point, to be honest. I don't know.
I was like, damn, she is just like dropping the all these dropping like the not holding any punches, basically.
Next thing you know, this is going to be like a 1-star review from like Jessica's mom. Like, didn't let the best guest talk enough or something.
Host blabs too much.
I'm never listening to Happy Trails again.
Happy Trails is I'm unsubscribing. Anyway,
I'm glad you got that in there. That's awesome. That's awesome. Man, I get hate everywhere I go, folks. Even from my guests'
She's got a lot of
family.
Feedback for you. I may give her the email of the podcast.
Maybe I should have her on. Jeez.
She's got a lot of notes. Yeah, maybe you should. Yeah.
All right.
She's got a lot of notes for you.
All right, Baker, thank you for doing this, and thank you, everybody, for listening once again. We'll be back next week, and yeah, happy trails.
Happy trails.